Welcome to Luxe Visionaries, the talk show where the most influential minds in ultra high end living share what really drives their success. In every episode, we sit down with the trailblazers, redefining what bespoke, personal, and purposeful luxury truly means. Nothing here is scripted or staged. It's unfiltered, unvarnished, and unlike anything you'll find elsewhere in the world of luxury. How many times have you stepped into a luxury boutique just because the windows stopped you in your tracks? And you didn't really need anything, but you thought it was so beautiful and emotionally appealing. Well, this fleeting moment is the power of a very well crafted shop window in luxury. And no visionary knows this better than our guest of today, Stefano Barni. We cannot wait to bring you to the behind the scenes of visual merchandising. So let's get started with our episode. My name is Rebecca Gabby, and I'm Vice President at Lex and Lux, and I will be your moderator today. So let me now introduce you to my co-host, Professor Dr. Phil Klaus. He's co-founder of Lex and Lux and awarded luxury CX strategist. So, Professor, we're all ears.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for Lux Visionaries, where I present courtesy of Lex and Lux Visionaries in Luxury. So no pressure added, Signor Barney, nothing there. It's just you have to be visionary, which for you comes kind of, how shall I say, literally in two ways, because what you do is all about vision. You call yourself a visual merchandiser. So while people know visuals and they know merchandising, they're like, what the God's name is a visual merchandiser? What do? Or is it just like doing the windows or what is it? And I believe what you do is a little bit more sophisticated than this. So without any further ado, could you please elaborate what it is actually you're doing, introduce yourself to our audience, and I have an additional question. Tell them something that they wouldn't get from your LinkedIn profile, something that they wouldn't normally know, but you can share with us.
So yes, it's like visual merchandising. It has a lot about vision, definitely. It's one of those jobs where you literally can have a lot of fun, but you have to know how to live under pressure, because you are a tool for business, and it's not all, let's say, a creative world, as a lot of people might think. When I meet people that want to join and start the journey in visual merchandising, the first thing I hear is like, it's all about creativity. I'm a creative. I want to be, yes, okay, but you gotta have the skills of analytics, because the merchandising part is very, very important to be successful. Like when we're speaking about a job that is front face of the customer, so it's like your how do you say it, biglietto da visita. You know what I mean, right? It's like when you're introducing your brand through the face of your store.
Exactly.
And when you walk through the store, you are presenting what you would like to see your customer to see. That's when it happens that you have to know exactly what is the business part of it. It's not only about creativity. So it's all, there is an image that is very important, which attracts you, but it's a part that you have to always to keep in mind that ultimately all this creativity has a goal and a scope, which is to give the best experience to the customer and to sell them what they want, but that you really want them to know that they want.
Okay, that's a very interesting differentiation that you put in there, because most people would have thought, oh, it's very creative, you're designing these things. And then the others would say, no, you can completely come from the different part, which is analytics. Footfall, retail, store management, eyesight, best labels, wear, using colors, and so on. But you distinguish it in a way that you say it starts with the client's vision in terms of profitability at the end of the day, correct?
Well, yes, but ultimately we are a business. So like we have to keep in mind that the luxury market today, it's shifted a lot in the last 15 years, I would say. It's who does this kind of job is really very much called to give an experience that which is unique, and it's a must-have today. Experience is everything in the luxury market today. But at the same time, like you can give the best experience, but you have to keep in mind why you're doing that. You're not a circus. You're not a theater. You're not just an experimental place where you just can have fun or be entertained. Like the product needs to be ultimately the main reason why the customer is there. So it's like in the last years, I have to say, it's been very interesting, the journey of learning how to build around the product a very interesting experience, which is to bring the light on the product through the experience. While I have to say before it was very much more product driven, now there is like something that has to be built around the product, which is very, very challenging sometimes, but is what makes it fun, and that's where it comes the all creative part. So that's why I would say it's a split 50-50 by knowing what it is your goal, which is like to make your customer fall in love with your product, but how to do it, that's the creative part.
No, I can see where you're coming from, because I always say when people ask me, what the hell is customer experience all about? And I said, it's not huffy puffy, it's not feeling, it's not emotions. It's make your people buy more and more often from you versus the competition. And it seems like you have a similar approach, but you mentioned it changed kind of in the last few years. So was it before not the case? Were people ignoring it? Or what do you mean by that?
I would say the brands were just acting in different ways because we were, first of all, we didn't have social media, which today is a very, very important part. The product could be the driver. Like if you think about it, how many of the iconic products today that come from back in the days, they were like the icons. Today, it's more difficult to build one item and make it become an icon if you don't give it the right space and the right narrative. People today, they're just not attracted by, for example, simple advertising. Now if you look like 15 years ago, there was the Vogue, the magazines, there were the advertising, the drivers of communication. And then you have brands that will have the windows, but it was not as taken care as today, especially because today, as I was saying, with like this tool, which is so important that I always say, if I can get you to take a picture of the window we created, I did half of my job. Because if you want something like in your phone, it means that it's something that is meaningful to you, that I touched something in your walkthrough in a luxury suite that made you make you turn around your head and say, I'm going to put this in something that I'm keeping in my pocket. It's so important. That's how it changed so much.
Yeah, it's memorable. So you create a memory, for the lack of a better word. And we always say, when we look at our research, customer experience is not anymore about buying products and services. People buy something to have an experience. So also the focus shifted of what do I do with something rather than possessing something. Do you see something similar from your clients, that they do understand the importance of that?
Oh, I would say that we are constantly working on that. Yes, I definitely say, I think that it's fundamental. Like today, you have to have that type of approach, because like we are in a market that is very busy right now. How do you stand out? Product is not enough. We have hundreds of thousands of brands in the world that make may make a good and quality product. Like we are an Italian brand, like and Italy is quite lucky with the made in Italy, which make it so special in the luxury industry. But if you look around, like there is a lot of good product out there, and there is a huge competition. How you stand out on that? Definitely, you have to have a great quality and great design, which is very important. But how do I make you fall in love with the brand? Because it's not like I would say, like, it's more important for a person to fall in love with the brand than a single product. The product, once you have it, you have it. How can I drive you to come back and continue buying into our store, our brand? Multiple things, and dive in a lifestyle that reflects in the brand. That's how you like. That's how you have to work today. Well, I think that the experience when it comes like to the luxury market, it's something that you have to keep in mind. It starts. It's in so many levels. Communication, that direct and indirect. When it comes to stores, so the physical one, like I strongly believe, like there is a debate right now on windows, not windows, right? And which is something that I've been dragged in often. Uh, for me, when I'm walking in the streets, the experience starts when I'm on the sidewalk. So what I'm giving something when I'm making something interesting and pleasant for the eyes as a brand, that is build, as I was saying, build around the product. It's not just, I'm not showing you stuff that you can buy. I'm showing you something that most likely you don't have to give me nothing for it. Just look at it. It's pleasant. It's well done. You can recognize the quality of what is done. You can see that there is a thought, this care. There is, so that your experience starts realizing that whoever is doing that is caring. So there's a lot of thoughts around. There is something that is makes your brain go curious, right? And say like, okay, like what am I looking at? You know, and that should sometimes, like most of the time, lead you inside the door. With that, then once that you're inside the door, it comes another level of experience, which of course there is an experiential part that comes in as well. But as far as experience, for me, it's really like how as a brand I make you live that moment of your free time, like like elevated at the point where you feel like that you're investing your time in the best way possible, which is not spending your money, it's how you invest in your time. You're feeling like in that space you're cuddled, you're in the right, like you are shown, like greet and met in the right way, like you are in an environment where you can leave your thoughts out of that door. When you step in, like you find like you're a moment of peace, which it's something that we're all looking for in a society where you have so much pressure, like if you're in a business, if you're a student, anything you do, like when you walk in a luxury boutique, I think that's where you have to, like, your experience need to be something that, yeah, it's like going to a spa, you know what I mean? Like it has to have the same level in a different way, of course, a different environment, but it's a place where you have to forget what your problems. It's an experience. That's the experience, I think. So every brand, I think, has their own approach and their own language to make something like stand out and be maybe extreme in a way. But there are ways that to create what I always call the wow effect. You know, like that thing that says wow. Like I did several projects, quite different from one to another. But I would say that it's fundamental to, yes, to absolutely have something that is out of the norm, I would say. which is, for example, like last year we had this beautiful installation that was like called Italian Garden. It was inspired by the gardens of the villas that we have here in Italy. So we have this. The inspirations were amazing, and so when it came down to realize and create the actual display, we had so many ways. How do you produce a garden? So we found like this fantastic thing. Basically we used real plants, that were stabilized, so they won't age, and we reproduced the entire garden inside the store. But when you looked from outside, you'll be like, wow, like what am I looking at? Like this entire store looks like a garden, and when you walk in, you feel the because it was real, the perfume like walking in a garden. So it was very elegant. It wasn't loud, but it was extremely elegant. For example, we had this horse that it was like made out of a bush, right? But it was all the details were in leather. So you had this mix between the green and the leather, and that made it very interesting because you had all the stitching. That for me is a way of creating the wow effect in a very elegant way without having to go, sometimes what is an extreme to attract someone can bring you out of your way. So you really need to find the balance. I think that brands like as Dior, Hermes, ourselves, like we do a really good job on that, because these are brands that my Loeves themselves, like they always like do the windows that are very fun. Like you can look at them, that they're never too out of the way, like they still maintain like a sense of luxury, and there is a little bit of poetry inside. There is a little bit of a narrative. It can be romantic. It can be like very oriented to the artisanal part, but there's always like a very subtle and a very, very elegant way to create that extreme. It's interesting, I think.
But does the brand clearly communicate what the experiences that their clients are looking for? Or is it more like, we know what we are doing, so act accordingly? Or do they have their own insights where they say, Stefano, you don't mind if I call you Stefano? Let's adjust it accordingly because there seem to be different trends, or we look for a new generation of clients?
Oh yes, like this is definitely like something that this is an ongoing and a very evolving world. Like you can never be the same. Like from season to season, you're changing. Your customer is changing. Just look at how the trend changed in the last 5-6 years. Like where we went all of a sudden to a streetwear, very like everywhere in the luxury world with sneakers and stuff like that, and now we shifted, so the customers want something completely different, and for me, like for example, I suffered a little bit that streetwear world because I didn't find it elegant. It went a little bit too much, but that showed you a lot of brands how much they went out of the way to follow the trend. I must say that the brand that I'm today, what I'm very proud of, seeing the day to day, that we are really true to ourselves. Like, and this, I think, it's fundamental to for a brand. Never forget your roots and never forget who you are, because it's where you will be recognized always. The minute that you leave your core and your values to follow like an easy buck, like. That won't work for. It will work for a very short time, but we'll get back to you like very quickly. And I saw it in many brands that have done that.
But you're a brand, and your company is in the brand itself. Do you feel like you have this natural magnetism? So you stand for something, you have a style, you have a flair, and then the clients that come to you are almost like the self-fulfilling prophecy. While sometimes you say, no, that won't work.
Speaking about myself, I would say that if you look at my LinkedIn, to go back to the beginning, I had the chance to work in very different, very completely different brands. They're like high luxury, like contemporary, and I lived men's, women's, like accessories. It was I've done it, I think, almost all. Like, but something that I recognize to myself after so many years is that I definitely know how to wear a different pair of shoes, like, and I learned quite quickly how to walk in the shoes that I have to wear, because it's fundamental. Like, it's not about you; it's about the brand and the customer, right? Like, and it's which is interesting, how you have to like forget about what is your feeling and what you like or not like. It's not important. This job is not relevant. Like, it ultimately is about taste. Yes, definitely. You can say what is looks good and looks bad, which you can have an opinion on that, but it's not about you. It's not about what you like or not. It's what your customer and likes, and what, especially, I think, what represents the brand. That, because that the brand is above everything in this industry. I think when you work for a brand, you have to bring to the customer what the brand stands for. You are just a tool for it.
That makes sense. And also the brand at the end of the day, I mean, people always say, can I manage a brand? I said, no, the brand you cannot manage, but you can manage the experiences, and the experience become something in our mind that we consider the brand. So it's cause and effect. And you're clearly working on the cause of how a brand is going to be perceived. Do you sometimes also have then challenges that you say to your client, I know where you're coming from, I know what you want, but shouldn't you do this?
It happens, especially like in a world that is grows very fast, right? So that's why it's fundamental to be up to date on what's happening out there. Like, here they like I always say there is a job, another layer of my job is, and it's socializing, which a lot of people would think that I really like socializing, but it's not really. Like, but I know that if I'm not inside like a circle of people, and I don't go get myself out, and I just stay in this room with my drawings and I might miss something, like, but that what happens a lot of time. No, not, I would say sometimes in some brands it can happen that, which you are always like in a room telling your story, and maybe you're not listening outside. That happened to me in the past. Like, I have to say that today we're doing a good job on trying to hear what's out there and what's necessary. Again, ultimately, we are in a business. We have to we stand for ourselves, but we have to listen to what's outside, and what the client wants. Then would you go away from your core to make everyone happy? No, you're gonna have to make happy like a small percentage of people, like the ones that you're interested in.
I'm sure based upon your success, you must be a very good listener, to say the least. We are doing research. A lot of companies are using augmented mirrors. So you walk by, like the Coach one, or the one that you will find in Tommy Hilfiger, where it changes you, you can try stuff on, and so on. What do you think about this? Is that experience in you, or you say, oh, no?
So, so you have to know a story. Like, the first time that I worked with one of these mirrors was 2015, which it was quite a long time ago, 10 years ago. And it was with the brand Brioni. It's like this, one director there was that he takes care of the Sumisura for Brioni. Very intelligent man, Petrucci. He's a great visionary, and he had this vision of having the mirror, and in order that you could do your made to measure through the mirror. They were very ahead of time, and they brought it to the store actually, The only problem was that at that time, we are speaking 10 years ago, the systems were quite slow. But like I was amazed to see 10 years ago at the point that you will get inside the fitting room, like you will have a full fit, like get your measurements taken, and it was quite impressive. Like I have to say, it was really wow 10 years ago. Today, I think like it's inevitable. Like we have to um, understand how they will fit in certain experiences, because I still think that you know there is it's very cool to get inside a room and get your measurements taken by a mirror or a EI helper. But for me, the experience to have a tailor taking the measures is just that is the experience. I think when you're going to Brioni to buy it's just something too special, and I will never give up on that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Senza dubbio, d'accordo. But for me, it was also for you as a visual merchandiser, because a lot of companies use it when you walk by the store and you can see yourself with things. Are you using it to engage people even if they walk by and they can see things pretty much tailored to them?
So we did some now a few years ago, like we did something interactive with the windows. It works quite well. Like it helps you also to track, for example, uh, like how many people will stop uh, to see the window. There are systems now that we don't use it, but they've been proposed to me largely lately. For example, like in a window, if I place five products, I can have like a camera looking at your eyes, and then will give me the data on which one of these 5 items is being looked at the most. So I find it there is on the merchandising part is quite interesting and will help you also to understand what like the trend and what is really attractive. It's a very interesting data. Definitely is out there. I think that in the next 10 years we'll see a big shift on that type of analysis inside the stores. Like it's quite. If I look here, we have in Europe. I don't know if I think luckily because I believe a lot in privacy, but I'm seeing in China. In China, a lot of brands are using it freely. Like it's not even a question. Like they have all this data. Like it's almost everywhere, even in the
I
supermarket.
absolutely agree with you. And I always say if you want to get into the market of understanding how we can use technology to the benefit of the customer experience, we have to look east, not west.
Yeah.
That's the direction. Yeah.
No, definitely. Like every time that I go to Asia, I am amazed, like how fast they are, the technology. Like I am. I think that we have such brilliant minds in the West, but the East is doing it. Like sometimes we speak too much here. Like we should like just do it.
Do it. Yeah. No, I absolutely agree, and I couldn't agree more. And you mentioned it at the beginning also that you say one part is analytics and that you're using it more and more,
Yeah.
which kind of is important also, I believe, for your business to demonstrate your the client the impact of what you're having. True?
Yeah, of course. Like so we like in my school, where I come from, like in all these years, analytics has always been part of my journey. Like one of the things that I am quite proud of is like I look a lot about on the data of also my work. Like but it's amazing how, because it was such a big satisfaction when you create a display and you see the sales of that going up. I think that ultimately for who does this job, that is the like one of the biggest rewards. Remember in Bottega Veneta, many years ago, I was in New York, and we had this glass case that was right at the entrance of our store in Fifth Avenue, that everybody was like, we were discussing about removing it. And I really liked it because I had it looked like it had potential. It just wasn't used in the right way. So I started concentrating the knot bag, which is like an iconic bag from Bottega, and inspired by the displays from the macarons, so to put all the colors all together, and I started like hanging them. Like, we saw an increase of sales from that particular display of 175%. But you imagine in numbers what that means. With a bag that at that time cost $1,300. Like, it was massive because it would just drive people to. So we ended up going we tracked around a couple of months, breaking the stock. Like, we didn't have any more bags. We were selling like hotcakes. Like, you can imagine that what impact it has. But how did I know that was successful? Was I did that. I asked to track. I knew where I placed it. So ultimately, I knew that the sales were coming from that display. And all of a sudden, nobody wanted to remove it. It was like our money-making machine. It was just like, and knowing also the potential of that a place, a certain area of the store, if worked in the right way, can bring you so much business. And it's also because it's easy to buy with your eyes. What you see, and it's ultimately very in front of you, well done, colorful, series of things. You have the offer, you have the color, you have the right design. Everything's right there, and it's displayed in the right way. I always say that it's, for me, like, visual merchandising has a component of mathematics that a lot of people are not considering that much.
As a data scientist, I couldn't agree more with you. But now you still own our audience a question. What would you like to share that we don't find on LinkedIn or not on your CV? Something about you that we wouldn't expect.
I don't know. Like, I'm such a transparent person that I feel everything is out there. Like, well, definitely something that have been giving me so much, like, which is like, never stop being curious, like, and never stop challenging yourself on what's the next step. Like, everything we said today ultimately, like, comes down to evolution. Like, it's about knowing and keep evolving, which is not something that you will find see, but it's something that is very precious for who wants to be successful in this job. Is don't stop being curious. Like I was saying before, you have to go out. You have to go to socializing, like in the right crowd, of course. Going to see what's going on in the art world, which is like such an amazing place to take inspiration from. Don't be shy to look at the past, and don't be shy to look at the future, and to take inspiration, because ultimately you're allowed to do it. And if you are using it in the right way, I think that will be the thing that I will encourage everyone to be curious. Just like continue looking for what's next. You're never arrived anywhere. Like there's always one more step that you can make.
I believe we are both lucky that we're in a profession where our curiosity actually gets paid for.
Yeah, I would say that's the biggest luck. Yeah, definitely.
So, Stefano, thank you for being with us. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I hope to see you soon.
And that's a wrap on today's Luxe Visionaries. If this conversation inspired you or gave you something to think about, please do us a favor. Follow, subscribe, and share it with those who appreciate real insight. The future of luxury isn't coming, it's already here. And we're giving you the front row seat. So until next time, stay bold, stay curious, stay visionary.